Your bones are still so soft. I could break you now as easily as parting a seasoned horse chestnut from its spiky outer shell. You're exhausted from being born and do little but yawn and blink at me. It feels strange not offering you my breast, but you'll only remain alive longer with milk in your belly, and the sooner you're not here, the better. You can smell my milk and pucker your tiny lips. You're desperate to root for my nipples, but I don't give in. We must leave. Your father doesn't offer to accompany us to the forest. It's my role alone to take you there. Your brothers and sisters didn't know I was with child until you started your violent exit. There was so much blood. I thought we could collect it together before it drained through the cracks in the floor. I thought we could mix it with oats, make patties and fry them for supper. But your father quickly mopped it up with handfuls of moss and threw it outdoors. The dog went for it before it even touched the ground. He snapped and growled and chugged the red moss down like it was a young reindeer heart. When he looked about him for more, your father tossed him the placenta. Your father told me that he was tempted many times to push me over onto my belly or kick me down on the rocks by the fjord. He didn't want you coming into the world alive. He didn't want to have to look into your eyes. He wanted you silent, motionless, already long gone. When you came out, I caught you myself. The mountains look down upon us like great kings with ice crowns. You're transfixed by the tops of the firs and the stars. I bend my head, cover your face with my shawl. I bundle you tighter so you can see nothing. No word has been spoken to you and no word will. Say anything nice about something and it gets harder to part with. The dog acted strange before we left. He bit down hard onto my skirts and would not let go. He didn't want me stepping over the threshold and out into the cold with you. He kept hold until your father kicked him into a daze. I can smell a blizzard coming, and it is welcome. You will not look human-like in a few hours. Besides, you would never have become heavy-set enough to bear children. You would have been nothing but a burden, a loud, ungrateful burden. The trees are rustling. They want to give you a name. The moon is swollen full in the winter sky, and I feel the eyes of the forest on us. I unwrap you. I place your naked, squirming body onto the snow. You gasp. It's the same sound as when you took your very first breath. Then you scream the forest awake. I wish I'd broken your neck back at the house. I put a handful of snow in between your lips. They're already turning blue. You make little noises. You look up at me, eyes sad, desperate, confused. I should have bound them closed. I push more snow into your mouth. I want you hushed when I turn my back. There's a deer. It's paused so close, I can count its eyelashes. I motion at it with my hands, but instead of flitting away, it remains, watching. I motion at it with my hands, but instead of flitting away, it remains, watching, twitching its black, wet nose. I start to make my way home without you. The deer's eyes follow me until we're out of sight of one another. I hear nothing more until I approach the village. You're miles behind, in the clearing, where the wolves are known to gather. It's spring, when your bones are delivered in a soft leather sack. They're tiny, trimmed with bite marks. The marrow has gone. The wolves and the ravens feasted well. I place your bones under the floorboards. Sleep does not come. In my head I take you to the forest and I leave you for the wolves again and again and again. I need air. I open all the windows. The breeze hurries inside, accompanied by dancing insects, and through their jewel-like wings, I see you. Your head is lifted, your neck straining, you're watching me. Your mouth is as wide as a cave and black. I watch the last candles in the windows go out. All the houses are dark. I imagine the villagers willing you to go away. I imagine them holding their children tighter. It must be known now that you came out of me, then were gone. Not even the dog comes with me to the window anymore. He knows something is out there and that he's powerless against it. He curls up in the darkest corner and does not listen when I call him. You come closer every night, pulling yourself with your small arms and hands. When winter arrives, you're close enough that I can see the hate in your eyes. The snow in the village, the snow you're pulling yourself through, is filthy. Filthy with shit and blood and sickness. The sickness you've been bringing with you from the forest. The sickness that is touching the other families one by one. The men no longer hunt when it's dark. They come back from the trees several hours before sunset, always looking back over their shoulders. You've heightened everyone's fear in the unknown. I wonder if your father will speak out against me. I wonder if I will be sent out into the forest and told never to come home. My head feels crowded. It's full of voices. When I cut wood, they urge me to chop off my hands. They push for me to carve my legs like meat. When I get down on the stool to milk the cow, they tell me to put my head near its back legs. And sometimes I do. But even the cow is too weak to hurt me. The voices, they quieten down when your brothers and sisters place spoons on their knees. I've begged your father to carve them violins and flutes. He tells me to stop being foolish, that there's no wood to spare. The voices laugh at this. They laugh so loud. This winter is crueler than the last. You've made it so. All of our bellies curve inwards. Your brothers and sisters curl in their beds for more hours than they play. They cry more than they smile. They don't come to me for anything. You're the only one who comes. Your father and I sleep not touching. Your brothers and sisters look at me as though I'm a stranger in their home. They whisper to each other. They say that I will be gone soon. They converge around your father in the evenings for story. I'm never asked to join them by the fire. I have little hair left. I pull it out while you watch. You watch me every single night. The noises you make are more horrible than anything I've ever heard. You move back to the forest, so slowly, rarely making it back before sunrise. I find myself wishing the sun would burn you up. I've bitten my nails to nothing, chewed my lips to tatters. I've asked the gods for forgiveness, but I know they stopped listening when I first took you to the forest. I wonder if they watch me and laugh among themselves. I wonder if they rejoice at this suffering. I go to my neighbour for flour. I pass her the last of my jewellery. She inspects them before placing the pieces in the front pockets of her dress. Her thick braids are wound tightly around her head. Her cheeks are rubbed red and clean. I stand there at the threshold of her home, humiliated by the wreckage of my mouth and hands and hair. She passes me a small sack of flour, but is careful not to touch me. The sickness you bring hasn't found her family yet. I want to trade places with this woman. Let her take on the burden of you. Let her listen to the voices and set eyes on your ghostly form every night. Your father is sleeping with other women. I know because he comes home stinking of their intimate parts. He climbs into our bed with no word. I cannot remember the last time he turned his head towards my face to say good night. I didn't expect this, but you've made it. You're here, sat on my ribcage, watching my face. You're as heavy as an avalanche. I can feel my bones bending. I cannot scream. I cannot whisper. The rest of the family sleep deeply. Your father will never know you were here again. Return to where you tasted life for the first time. Today I crushed your bones. I mixed them with flour and water. I made a loaf of bread and I ate every crumb myself. Maybe that's why you're here. Because you're back inside me, where you began. I struggle up. I hold you close, but you squirm from my arms. The fall makes no sound. I step outside and follow you into the dark, into the trees. My body quickly starts to burn with the cold. I strip, leaving everything in the snow. I continue on naked. We leave the village behind and edge on towards the mountains. You move slowly, but I move slower still. Even in the pitch of night, I know where we're going. I've walked this path 1,000 times in my mind since that night you died. You lead me to the clearing, and there we wait until eyes start to gather in the gloom.